I don't think there's a lot of innocence these days, dude.
Even
In the
with the
pop,
younger, yeah, even for the young teens, right?
I think who's that performer that put out "Wet Hot" something?
No, that was they weren't, but that wasn't for. That's not supposed to be for like young teens.
I think a
You're
lot of
talking
young
about
teens got
WAP.
their hands.
You're talking about WAP.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Well, yeah,
a lot of
they're
young
gonna
teens
still
got
hear
their
it.
hands on that music, on that song. I
Yes, but
mean,
it's not directed towards people that age. I
no,
don't
but
think.
she knew, and they knew when they were putting that out, who was going to wind up
Of course,
listening
but
to it and all like that. So
yeah,
you know, because it's funny when you talk about correction, man, even in that, like, what we think is like tolerant now, and it's just, I just don't see, there's songs that like you and I hear a certain sound, a certain whatever, and we say that's retro, like what year did that come out? We
yeah,
say
that one was definitely
2014,
not
and we
retro.
say 2014, man, that sounds like 1972. And that's really cool with the pop stuff and like what they're singing about and all like that. I don't think there's gonna be any retro stuff, man. That 50s, 60s thing, like I Will Follow Him, you mentioned, and
Yeah,
and Love Me Do, and
right.
not that you have to go to Love Me Do, but just there's plenty of other love songs, and like, something, whatever, by Harrison.
Now it's just do me do.
Do me.
Hey, you're watching Into the Music. My name is Chris. I'm here with my buddy Greg, and Greg's got something for me to react to. So what you got, man?
I've got a first time requester through Kofi. His name is Steve Jeffrey. Hey, Steve, thank you. And Steve wants us, and I'm going to give it to you,
Mm-hmm.
to react to a song by the band name Waxahatchee. Waxahatchee. Wax as in wax on, wax off. A hatchie. Hatchet like hatch.
I got you.
And silver, silver, gold, gold, silver, silver.
I'm glad you explained that.
That's the name of the song, Silver,
Okay.
by Waxahatchee.
Waxahachie. That sounds like
Waxahatchee.
a Native American name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All
Okay.
right. Go check it out. No, I don't know why this band named themselves that. So that's not my
Really, you
homework.
didn't look that up?
No, I didn't look at
The hell
it. Didn't,
kind of
it didn't
half-ass?
say it. It didn't say it in Wiki. At least.
And that's the only reference you can go to.
You know what? Leave it to imagination. So go ahead.
Okay.
Go check it out and come on back.
I'll do that.
The whole world keeps turning. I went out in
Hey man, what'd you think about Silver?
Uh, you know, I like this song. I have to say that, you know, and I don't mean this as an insult at all. It sounds like a thousand other songs, but it still sounds unique. It sounds like like what was that band that said did Feed the Tree? Remember?
Yeah,
I don't remember the name of that band, but you know what I'm saying. And I think, and one of the things I liked, and I know I criticize this in a negative way sometimes, is that rhythm guitar going throughout, filling the whole song
yes,
just steadily.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's because I think it depends sometimes on the tone of it. Sometimes I don't like it when it's super distorted, but this had enough over just the right amount of gain on it, to
yeah,
me, that it worked. And it wasn't it wasn't like a constant drone that was overpowering. Sometimes
yeah,
the song it'll be too overpowering or the volume will be too high on it where compared to the singing. But the singing stood above that volume wise, and the voice was great, and and the melody was very very good and flowing, and I don't know I have no idea what this is about, but I liked some of the lyrics,
yeah.
like, I'll play the shed carpet and you can walk all over me, whatever. I mean, not that that's a positive thing, but I just thought they were interesting, although I can't really say what they were
Yeah, we'll
getting
get into
at.
that a little bit. They are interesting, and she's interesting, and the mute
Okay, tell me.
and wait, and the music is interesting enough too. It's really funny because you and I just did a song for another band, a song where we were like almost like in sync with the way we interpreted it, the way we felt about, and I feel
Mhm.
like we're almost like in sync again with this, almost everything the way you sort of described the way you like the song, the way, um, yeah, I'm almost like the same way. It had a very sort of formulaic sound
Uh-huh.
to it, but it's funny. I thought that as the song was going on, and I remember like going like, but I don't dislike it. I actually like it. There's something about it, and I think this is what you were saying too, without these same words, but like there's something okay. There's something good about that. If you're on sort of familiar grounds, sometimes that's okay. If there's something that's interesting, whatever in that area or that whatever that I think that's what she has. She has, she's singing about something that's interesting. Those guitars were really it's like a wall of sounds. Another one I haven't really run into that in the last several episodes. You know, songs that we've reacted to.
Wall of Sound. We haven't talked
We
about that.
no, right?
Yeah,
There was
yeah,
a lot of them, like almost in a row of like just that wall of like guitars.
yeah.
And I
But
felt like this one had it. Maybe not as pronounced, but there was still that kind of it almost as the song started, it kind of had that sort of drum beat. And then it just bam, it just came right in and it just didn't stop. And it was
mhm.
just, you know, yeah.
I just want to make clear though, we talk about a lot about Wall of Sound,
Yeah,
and just want to make clear to whoever's watching that we don't technically mean like the Phil Spector
right,
thing.
right.
We just mean the fullness of that sound.
The fullness of the sound. Yeah.
Because Phil Spector, I think, put microphones all over the freaking place. So
Yeah, I
you
mean,
got that different. Anyway,
and he truly had this wall of just like where this is more like, you get like almost like showers, showery
yeah,
kind of thing of
yeah,
guitars just kind of coming
that's a
in.
that's a good description.
And
Yeah.
it just kept on like, waves and showers and just coming and just kept it
Very,
moving and
very wet.
grooving. Very wet, yeah. Um, and the melodic, I think he was saying it's just very melodic, and
Right.
I'm a sucker for that, always.
Yeah.
Um,
I
if
will
well
say
done.
this though, there weren't peaks and valleys, really.
No, no.
But
And
that's
if
okay. That's
yeah,
okay. There's exceptions to every rule
but there's
though.
exceptions. But even when, yeah, there's anticipation. There's kind of like,
Mhm.
where you are and you know what ride you're going to be on. I don't know. But anyway, this was something that just
This
the
was a nice
the
mellow
song was
ride.
what it's supposed to be. Yeah, yeah. So let me tell you. So this is from um.
I'm looking on Wikipedia now. I know where the Waxahatchee comes from.
Well, then you can say that. That's fine. That's a wait, because I'm just wait. Say that again. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking on Wikipedia, and it's named after the Waxahachie Creek in Alabama,
Oh,
where the the founder of this group, Katie Crutchfield, grew up.
Oh yeah, it's
You,
named after
yeah.
Waxahatchee Creek in Alabama, where Crutchfield grew up.
I'm glad you told me that. I would have never guessed.
I'm slipping, dude. I'm slipping.
I'm slipping too. I'm just a little more on the ball today because of all my caffeine. See?
So here's the thing. So, well, you might as well just take over that if you're seeing what I'm
Okay,
seeing.
so yeah, let me tell you about this, man. Go ahead, man. You can
So,
open up Wikipedia as easily as I can.
Katie, well, that's the thing too. People over there are like, why do you give us information? They don't think we can just open up the same stuff. But we like to just wrap it up in nice big packages for everyone while we're talking about the song. So Katie Crutchfield is the same as Waxahatchee and Katie Crutchfield. They're both the same. Okay. She has some performers, musicians who come on board and help her out each album,
Oh yeah, because it says here
but she's
it's a
really the main
music
force.
project.
Yeah.
We've run into that a lot lately. Like it's not like there's just you don't call them bands anymore. They're projects because they do have interchangeable members and so on. So I guess
Right.
project would be a good name for it because you're
And
just talking about the project. You're not talking about the
right.
personnel.
Well, I always found that interesting too, where like if she's working with certain musicians every album, like why not just kind of hook with a few and just say this is our band? But there's so many artists out there, from years past
Yeah.
and current, and who
Well,
just
when
are more comfortable with just doing it this way.
you think about it, like when we were growing up and Steely Dan was around,
Yeah, yeah,
people were like, or are they a duo? Are they a band with steady personnel? And it's
yeah.
like they should have called themselves the Steely Dan Project or something, or just called themselves a project with Steely Dan, and it would have made more sense,
Yeah.
but really people weren't really speaking that way about these things, except for like the Alan Parsons Project, but that could have been the name of a steady band too. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just when if you grow up in this sort of environment of just bands, a band is a
Yeah.
band, you just, and then you're like, what? So they're not a band. Um, but yeah, so this is off her fourth studio album called Out in the Storm.
Okay.
And she has 5 studio albums to date. She actually started in 2010 and she's current day.
Okay.
And this album met with very good critical reception. And what is the song about? The song's about sort of destruction of a relationship, and what the person is, and really destruction of that person who's going through it, and then that transformation coming out of it. Um, it's a couple drifting apart, and it's interesting if you go to the first line in Genius.com, the lyric site. Um, the first verse is, "I stare at myself, the whole world keeps turning. I went out in the storm, thought I felt the house burning." So like she's sort of equating what she's going through to a house that's burning down. Um, and I guess when you think about a house, the house is sort of, that is that's your home, that's where you reside, that's where, that's your life really.
Mhm.
And that's burning down. Her life is burning down around her as she's going through this. So yeah, it's kind of actually a really serious song, what she was going through. But then
I
that
thought it
said,
was serious from
but
the
the
lyrics.
melody
Yeah.
is beautiful, and the melody is light, and it's just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, no, no.
Yeah. Um, so that is
When
that
did this come out?
this was 2017.
Do you
Yeah.
remember when popular music, when we were growing up, um, actually it's starting to change a bit when we were growing up, but when we were really young, a lot of the pop music was about falling in love or being in love.
Yeah.
And then at some point it started tipping more towards um, relationships falling apart and bitterness about failed relationships, as far as the majority of songs, or at least what we were hearing, you know what I'm saying?
I think
And then you got to something stuff that was just totally like angry,
yeah,
like that song "You Ought to Know" by
yeah.
Alanis Morissette. It was like
Right.
just okay. We're not going to sugarcoat this
Yeah, the
anymore.
gloves are
This is
coming
all,
off. Yeah, when the gloves
It
come
just
off.
kind of like things just tipped in the other direction, more towards, I guess, because probably because nobody was really expressing that negative side all enough,
I think it goes
and it
hand
was
in
more of a
hand.
realistic
Yeah,
thing.
I think it goes hand in hand really with also it's sort of parallel to movies and TV shows too, how they've
Right,
evolved,
more of
you
like
know.
a cynicism, yeah,
Right, but
more
even like
of a cynicism
right, but like
than
back in the day, you wouldn't have like the violence and the gore and the blood, whatever that you see now in movies and TV. And what I'm saying is that when you talk about Alanis Morissette, and that's sort of like the gloves come off, right? The gloves really came off with that song, and where really allowed you to kind of like visualize like how gruesome and bloody and raw, like a real breakup, and someone does
Mm,
something to like her in that
mm,
situation, it's like you're seeing it for all the ugliness and the hurt, where there were songs back in the day and in our day where they touched on that, but they didn't go really that deep and really to show you and open
yeah,
up so much, like the
yeah,
band-aid or whatever, and see really inside that wound. And she really did that. She ripped it off, and
yeah,
then and I think a lot of
and
that's interesting. You mentioned her because I really think that she was kind of like the starter of all that. I'm sure there were songs before that, but
yes,
yeah,
but as far as like the popularity of that song, it got to more people.
yeah,
And I think though, I think that's one of the reasons we did end up having some songs that were just bitter like that and pulling the not pulling punches is because as a because we went so far in the extreme in pop music, like say like in the 50s and early 60s, where everything is starry-eyed love and stuff, and um, songs like "I Will Follow Him," stuff like just that. It's
yeah,
all happiness and roses and stuff, and
hmm,
so the pendulum kind of had to. Yeah, it was like a correction, but it went too far in the other.
correct,
Went too far
yeah,
in the other
wow,
direction for a while. Now, I guess you have a mix of things now, but you still don't. You still really, unless there's something in pop music that I'm not listening to, maybe pop for like for young teens or something that is more starry-eyed love kind of stuff.
yeah,
I don't know because I don't listen to that stuff. But even if it's there, it might be a little tongue in cheek. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
I
No,
guess we'd have to find out what the like songs like BTS puts out. Um, the K-pop stuff. Are they talking about uh,
yeah,
are they singing songs in that kind of innocent framework?
I don't think there's a lot of innocence these days, dude,
Even
in the
with the
pop.
younger, yeah, even for the young teens, right?
I think who's that performer that put out Wet Hot something,
No, that was they weren't, but that's not supposed to be for like young teens.
I think a
You're
lot of
talking
young
about
teens
what?
got their hands,
You're talking about what?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Well, yeah,
a lot of
they're
young
gonna
teens
still
got
hear
their
it.
hands on that music, on that song. I
Yes, but
mean,
it's not directed towards people that age. I
no,
don't
but
think.
she knew, and they knew when they were putting that out, who was going to wind up
Of course,
listening to
but
it and all like that.
oh
So
yeah,
you know, because it's funny when you talk about correction, man. Even in that, like, what we think is like tolerant now, and it's just I just don't see, there's songs that like you and I hear a certain sound, a certain whatever, and we say that's retro, like what year did that come out? We
yeah.
say
That one was definitely
2014,
not
and we
retro.
say 2014, man, that sound like 1972. And that's really cool with the pop stuff and like what they're singing about and all like that. I don't think there's gonna be any retro stuff, man. That 50s, 60s thing, like I Will Follow Him, you mentioned, and
Yeah,
and Love Me Do, and
right.
not that you have to go to Love Me Do, but just there's plenty of other love songs, and like something, whoever by Harrison.
Now it's just do me do.
Do me, do. Why don't you work on that? Why don't you
I'm
can
gonna
sell
write a
that?
song. Yeah, I
Yeah,
might
there you
get
go.
charged for plagiarism.
Anyway, this was a really no, this is yours. This is yours. Put a bow on it, man. Go take it
Put a
out.
bow on it. Yeah, this was a good one, man. I like this one. Um,
Steve.
so yeah, who Steve Jeffrey,
Steve
right?
Jeffrey.
Okay, thank you, Steve, for this. And yeah, I hadn't heard. her before, or this project before. So I'll definitely check out some of her other stuff after this. And I'm guessing you will too at some point. Um,
Yeah, my
but
ears gonna be open, absolutely,
Cool,
for her stuff.
cool. So everybody, thanks for watching. Hit all the good buttons, all and all, the rigmarole. And we will catch you next time on Into the Music.
See ya.